Goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Wolfscroft.
Guten Tag.
I was like, do I want to restart that? No, let's just roll right into it.
Let's keep rolling. We'll do it live.
It's 11 letters. It's not worth doing twice. You'll be tired.
Right. So yeah, we finally launched our website. Well, technically, this is airing on the 15th. So we launched on the 1st.
Mind blown.
Mind blown.
In like podcast years, I think by now we have like pubes. You know, it's like dog years for podcasting. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it kind of blew up within the first day.
Yeah, good for us, right? We'll take it.
I'll take it. And partially, I invited like my entire friends list.
That's fine. No shame.
So
shame is not.
I don't know if that's considered packing. No.
We're gonna permit it.
I'm gonna permit it. Okay, it's allowed.
I think it's fine.
All I'm gonna say is suck it. Teaser trailer, Civil War. We're the hot new thing on blog. Spider-Man's only gonna be in it for like 5 minutes. People don't get too excited.
Awesome. So,
oh my God.
So let's roll into some news. A little bit of a sad news.
Yeah, we'll start sad and work our way
and work our way up to happy.
Yeah. So Garry Shandling died.
Yeah.
That was really, really sudden. He was 66 years old.
I was always a big fan of his, so that was a blow. I was not expecting that, especially at 66 years of age with no prior health issues.
Did they confirm what was
they think
issue?
It's heart. They said massive heart attack online, but now they're saying they're going to wait, I think, for an autopsy because they're actually not sure now.
Yeah, they're still investigating his death. Actually, I think he did die suddenly. They said that there was a emergency at his residence, so it was a matter of like someone was able to go, and call 911 on his behalf, but he was alive when he went to the hospital and then died there, as far as I understand. But they're still waiting like for talk screen to come back, like that sort of thing. So
that's horrible.
They think it was a heart attack, but they just haven't confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I never watched the show. Like, I never watched the Garry Shandling show or
the Larry Sanders
show that was on HBO. But I mean, I was aware of it. I knew it existed. My mom had watched it when I was a kid. But like for me, I know more from just like his appearances in the Marvel movies nowadays, which I saw it and I'm like, fucking Hydra. He got outed and they suddenly were like, oh, we're going to go take care of him. But that's adding some humor to a terrible thing.
That was a little odd because, I just thought he was going to have like a little cameo in Iron Man 2. Well, not even cameo, but just a small role in Iron Man 2. And then there he was in Captain America 2. And I was like, oh, he's going to be a reoccurring character. He's going to be a reoccurring character.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, he played that whole role of, the sleazy senator who actually was a Hydra agent really well. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, well, too. I mean, you're a student of comedy, John, so I feel like his death kind of hit you a lot because, he was somebody that you may have really studied and emulated, to some degree, so.
Oh, absolutely. It's the Garry Shandling show, like his first show before Larry Sanders, was kind of an introduction to American audiences, the kind of humor that, you find in England way, way before that with like Monty Python and things like that. Just the irreverence of it all and the fact that he'd walk off past his sets and you'd see like the camera crew or some people, the crew just eating a sandwich and they like couldn't believe they were, that kind of humor, that breaking the fourth wall between like him and Letterman, in that time they just kind of broke the doors down for that kind of inane, spastic, irreverent humor. And he's going to be sorely missed for that. More, but also just his stand-up career. One of my favorite jokes of all time was, one of his where he said, guy goes to a doctor and says, "Doctor, you have to help me. It burns when I pee." And he says, "Well, that just means someone's talking about your dick."
That's a good one.
It's good.
But yeah, I mean, it's a definite loss. And then, did you guys hear about his funeral?
No.
It's going to be a completely like Buddhist funeral where he'll be ordained as a monk.
Really?
Yeah, like I guess there's a lot of things that have to happen, but he considered him a student of Dharma, which is one of the key concepts of Buddhism.
Right.
And it said that he has a real elaborate service planned, and he'll have his head symbolically shaved by a monk, and it will give him himself monk status, I guess is the understanding. So it's not clear like whether in this situation like he'll be buried or cremated, but I guess there is a waiting period of 49 days typically for the mourning phase to be complete. Right. So either way, the funeral's not going to take place for a while yet. I guess it's going to be sometime in April, but I thought that was really interesting that someone like very funny that like could be seen as lighthearted. He definitely had like a real spiritual, soulful side, and had practices that we didn't really know much about, but he has one hell of a funeral planned apparently. No pun intended. I can't decide.
Well,
but we'll miss you, Gary. If you're listening now, we will miss you.
Well, speaking of funerals, I think one should be planned because Hanz Zimmer is now dead to Warner Brothers and vice versa.
I gotta say, John, that you are the king of the transition. Okay,
king. I mean, is king the word we want?
Yeah, let's go with king.
I'm gonna go with king. Okay, the king of the transition. This is and this kind of works well with our featured movie tonight, which is Batman v Superman. Now, we did do a preview of what we were expecting for episode 2. So this is kind of we speculated how much of a shit show it was going to be, and now we've seen. But before we get to that, this is kind of like the palate cleanser, I guess, if you will. Okay, news
sorbet.
The news sorbet, yes. For the shit show that is the main course. And this comes from, where does this come from? I believe it comes from Empire, the magazine, and it says the headline, Batman v Superman's Hans Zimmer retires from superhero scores.
Like, what?
If you're unfamiliar with Hans Zimmer, basically, if you liked any of the music in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight Trilogy.
Christopher Nolan, anything, pretty much.
And Christopher Nolan, anything. So this is, did he do Memento?
I think a lot like of his more recent work. I know, Inception, obviously, Interstellar. Yep. I think he might have done The Prestige. You should have done a little homework on that.
I think he did do The Prestige, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, I think I agree with you guys.
So if you like...
Sure. That's like the thing now, though. Like that is the music of our time. Like
the bass, that noise. But anyway, I guess that Zack Snyder broke him. He was the proverbial Bane to Hans Zimmer's Batman, and he broke him with the Batman v Superman score. And this is a quote from the article. It says, I did Batman Begins with Chris for 12 years ago, so the Dark Knight Trilogy might be 3 movies to you, but for me, it was 11 years of my life. And that those 3 movies, much more layered and complex pieces of composition than the Bram, were followed swiftly by Man of Steel and now Snyder's second DC monster. And that's actually, the DC monster part is actually part of Empire's quote, not necessarily from... Hans Zimmer's quote.
Blame him. I mean, anybody, whether they're an actor, if they're doing the music, direct, whatever it may be, signing up to be a part of one of these franchises, you're basically giving away however long you're doing your career for that period of time.
Look at Hugh Jackman. He's been in the Wolverine business
and
for
he's like really
years.
sick of baked chicken and broccoli. Like I heard he like can't wait for them to be over because he has to be so jacked all the time. Well, too, I know you guys probably don't watch Grey's Anatomy, but the main character Meredith Grey, played by Ellen Pompeo, like there was a huge scandal like a couple years ago when she said like when the show's done, I might not act anymore, and people were like, what? Like. She's played this role for like 11 years. Like, I think it's cool if she wants to walk away. And same for Hans Zimmer. I mean, I don't know what he wants to do other than that.
Well, I don't think he's giving up scores in general.
Okay.
He's just giving up superhero movie scores.
Okay, well, I don't blame him for that. If he wants to do like a tiny indie, the power goes to him.
I don't think that any indie could afford him.
I mean,
well, I think he's
for less money. I mean,
I think he's an amazing composer. One of my favorite working right now. But I'll tell you, I did not know that was him that did Batman versus Superman, and that score is fucking awful.
It didn't add anything. It didn't seem like Hanz Zimmer.
His scores are always A pluses, and that
like
was like a C minus. So it clearly is to say his heart wasn't in it.
Yeah. Speaking of C minuses, should we talk about the movie?
Prepare
Hey,
yourself.
I got to transition in.
You talking about segue.
Sorry, you started it.
Oh boy. Okay, so this movie.
Who wants to kick it off?
This movie is a cluttered, illogical mess, and I thought that one reviewer put it best when the title of his review was Batman v Superman is just a bad film.
I liked the one that said Batman v Superman Yawn of Justice. I thought that was a good one.
I'm
just really quick, guys, like for you listening, I feel like we're diving into serious spoiler alert country.
Yes,
now,
this
we
is.
all saw it early. This is still widely released. It hasn't even really been out a full week.
Well, at the time of
by
this
the time it
recording
airs,
is,
yeah, I guess.
But
But anyway, spoiler alert. You can pause it and come back to it at this point. I would say stop listening if you don't want the movie ruined, because we're going to talk about everything.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to hold back. So here's your warning.
Spoiler alert! Just don't see it. It's not worth your time. Spoiler alert! It sucks.
Spoiler alert! Wait and get it on Netflix if you
even do
really
that.
want to see it. But I mean, okay, so I feel like my
No,
problem.
you know what? If it's raining and you're at a red box and you kind of have to take a dump and you have to make a decision right away, maybe pick it then.
Or pick the other movie for sure.
Well, here's the one thing I did want to add, because you were going off of titles for how terrible it is.
Yeah.
The one that I came up with, and I'm sure someone else thought of this too,
Okay.
is that Batman v Superman is the Chipotle burrito of superhero movies.
And you told us that before we started recording, so please explain, Brian.
Okay.
What is a Chipotle burrito in terms of this movie?
Throw us with your acumen.
Well,
And I'll think about
my
Chipotle.
problem with this movie and why I say it's a Chipotle burrito is that a Chipotle burrito it's a regular burrito, so you're used to it, you know what it is, but it's so stuffed full of shit that it quite literally is bursting at the seams. And this movie, to me, felt like it was so stuffed full of shit that you couldn't tell what the fuck was happening.
And then it ripped at the seams.
And then it ripped at the seams.
You had diarrhea the next day.
And you had diarrhea the next day. So yeah, that's why I was saying it's the Chipotle burrito. Now we do not at all. We're not funded by Chipotle. Got to go ahead and say that.
But if
Oh, they
Chipotle
wanna
wanted
give
to give us
free
money
burritos?
or free
Yeah.
food, like
But-
I do love me some Chipotle.
yes, we're
would
not
be fine.
knocking Chipotle food. We're just saying that this movie kind of is equivalency.
Yeah.
Of
And
their
we're not
burritos.
saying anything that money's changed hands with Chipotle, but I'm saying that I can be bought
We all can be bought with Chipotle
or
and
sponsorship
yes.
or food. So just throwing that out there, guys.
Hey, I can't be bought by delicious, healthy Chipotle available everywhere. I don't know what you're talking about, Chipotle.
So anyway, so my problems were very specific, and I feel like with the movie
How
they
do we
were
even
very
start?
they were very strongly Batman related. So maybe I'll run through what made me crazy about the film,
Okay.
and we'll maybe find some things there along the way. So I'm just gonna do all Batman stuff, and then we'll switch over. So for me,
So you're just starting with the Dark Knight, and like specifically, like just him?
I mean, just all of the Batman related stuff. Let me talk, and you will see.
Gotcha.
Let me drop some knowledge bombs on you. So for me, this started from the very first frames of the film. We open in flashback with the night that Bruce Wayne's parents are killed. Can we not have a movie about Batman where we have 50 fucking flashbacks about his parents dying? Like,
Wait, his parents die?
You mean his parents died?
I mean, come on. Like, it is like the crux of everything.
We got
And,
Maggie
like,
from Walking Dead there. as
yeah,
his mom.
dude, it was really good to see Lauren Cohan in a movie, right? Like, she is gorgeous.
His
I
mom
love
was
her.
bangable for the
Yeah,
first time in flashbacks.
Martha Wayne.
Was that was
super
who
bangable.
played Martha Wayne?
Mhm, Maggie from Walking Dead. She was great. She like stared and like looked.
They also had the
alarmed.
comedian play, Thomas Wayne.
Is that who? I
That was who
wondered if
that was. That was the
Jeffrey
comedian.
Dean Morgan.
No, is that his name?
The comedian. Wait, the comedian from Watchmen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey
Yeah.
Dean Morgan,
Yeah, that
who's
was
also
him.
going to be on Walking Dead. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, he was in that.
I
It
like
just showed up on set one day.
right? That's so crazy.
but
But
no,
anyway,
but yeah, go on.
so I'm sorry. Like, I get it. Like, I mean, not even bringing it into reality where, like, your parents being murdered at gunpoint in front of you would be very traumatizing. But as an origin story goes, like, we need more from Batman. Like, I feel like everything we saw in that opening, I have seen a million times before. And you get to a certain point where I feel like your memories of that event would be even fuzzy. And just what we went through with Batman, like, Batman as a character didn't really age well to me. Number one, Ben Affleck was fucking horrible. Like, he was awful in the movie.
You know, I'm
And I kind
with
of
you on
hate
that,
I kind of hate him anyway.
but I think the internet disagrees with you. A lot of people are
I
saying
actually am one of the
plus
people that actually did like Ben Affleck as Batman.
I mean, just
I
sitting
didn't-
around and with gray temples and looking constipated does not constitute a performance. He looked
Yeah.
he looked vaguely constipated the entire
He
time.
did.
It
I
was
will
very-
not. I will not deny that. But I
And
will.
I'm not a big fan anyway. I don't really like him
he
at
did
all.
the best that he could.
But
Yes.
he's not a very good actor.
Right,
Like, why
but-
does he keep getting hired for shit? He's kind of terrible.
He's handsome.
Well,
No,
my
he's not.
my thing is this regarding Ben Affleck as Batman. I felt that he was able to strike a balance between playing Bruce Wayne and Batman. I also found that he was acting like a detective for the first time in a Batman movie. How many Batman movies can you think of where you actually have Batman using his fucking brain?
Batman pulled fingerprints off of bullets some fucking how.
Yeah,
in the Dark
but
Knight.
that was complete. That was one.
detective.
That was one scene, and honestly, that doesn't go ahead and actually help. Communicate to me that Batman's a detective. It means, oh, he's got some cool shit. But I like the fact that I got to see Bruce Wayne in Lex Luthor's house, sneaking around, trying to gather intel about what the what was it called, the white fucking
goddamn it.
ship,
I already forgot too.
white Portuguese, white
Yeah,
Portuguese.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That.
The white Portuguese.
We're the worst.
He was actually doing detective work. Okay, I like that.
I guess I do see that to that point. But I mean, I think Ben Affleck was a terrible choice. I think watching him age was rough, and I don't know. I just hate the conventions that are over and over again. Like, now that we suddenly have, he's like 52 now or whatever. We see like a younger Alfred. Alfred would be fuck dead by now.
I would agree with
also,
that.
Batman,
Yeah.
you're 52 years old. You can't get your own goddamn OJ. Like, that part when, like, he's served him stuff still, like, I get it, like,
Butler.
He's a butler, though.
but, like, you're 52 goddamn years old. Like, get your own juice, asshole. That really offended me.
These seem like minor gripes for a movie that was...
The movie has bigger problems. I'm not saying it doesn't, but we needed to start somewhere, and I like talking, so you're welcome. So,
Okay, so you didn't like Ben Affleck.
I really thought he was a terrible choice when he was
I thought he
first
was all right.
announced, but I didn't believe it.
I would
saw,
not. Here's the thing. I saw people saying, "Oh, this is like Clooney." I'm sorry.
Oh, he was better than Clooney.
there
I'll give
is
him that
no
much.
level lower than
I'll
a
give
Clooney.
Well, he was better than Kilmer,
He
too.
was. I'll give him that, but that's still not very good. I mean, but overall, I thought
He's a bronze.
I thought
he's a bronze medal. Okay.
I thought the
He's
specs
the
out,
Roger Moore of Batman.
but I thought, like, as far as the specs went, I thought the suits he wore were ridiculous. I thought the voice modulation was a really big mistake. The only Bat outfit I liked was when he was in the desert. I thought it was cool to see him in that coat. And he had the cow going and
Yeah.
stuff. That was kind of cool. That was the only thing I liked. But that, like, big armor thing at the
I
end,
like the
where his eyes
but
constantly
that
glowed.
is from the comic book.
Where his eyes constantly glowed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
well then I gotta tap out on that because I don't have that knowledge. I just thought it was a little ridiculous looking. And I
The
mean, and this is a guy who dresses up like a
here's
bat.
Here's the thing, though. The suit itself, I didn't have a problem with. I actually thought it was great. It was a great suit, mainly because if you read The Dark Knight Returns, that's the exact same suit.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
my nerd cred's not up to snuff on
It's
that.
the
so
exact same suit.
if it was
now,
honest,
regarding
that's cool.
your flashback thing, I agree they could have gone with a flashback that probably would have made more sense and actually helped the story a bit more. You have a scene in Batman vs. Superman where Bruce Wayne walks past the Robin suit. Why couldn't we have a flashback of Robin getting killed?
that there was a lot where
I
it
think-
just was assumed you needed to know the
Yeah.
lore. You
But I'm
know?
just
I was
saying,
just about to say
that
that.
would have been a better And honestly, that if you think about it, they've already tried to say in these reviews that, actually, no, it wasn't a review. It was Zack Snyder himself said that basically we're not going to get for Suicide Squad, you're not going to get the Joker as actually Robin, which I was going for that theory. I thought that was a great theory. But what he's saying is that the death of Robin made Batman that violent, jaded type character that we saw in Batman vs. Superman. Now, here's the thing. Instead of having the same goddamn origin story again and again and again, why not have a flashback to Robin getting murdered by the Joker?
Anything would have been better than what they worked with. But we did get a little bit of Robin in that like nightmare that Bruce Wayne had.
What's ridiculous?
Right? Is that who that was supposed to be?
That wasn't Robin.
Who was that supposed to be?
Who was dressed up as Batman?
When the end of his Desert Dream sequence.
That was the Flash.
Was it supposed to be the Flash?
Was it?
That was the Flash. No one could tell because the suit's so fucking ridiculous.
And is he supposed to be? Isn't he? He can run so fast that he can.
He can go through time. Yes,
but it's a dream.
Well, no, it's not a dream.
That part of it wasn't a dream, maybe.
And here's the biggest problem with that movie is there's so much shit that you can't tell what the fuck is going on. So you know they're saying, oh, it's a dream, but no, it's not. It could be a dream. You don't know. It could be a vision. It could be this. No one fucking knows, and that's my main problem with the movie is that there's so much going on that no one can focus on what is actually happening.
And it was such
Elaine, that was I think you were going for very, very minor issues. I think that there's much bigger issues, and I think, Brian, you're hitting on that, is that the film is convoluted, nearly impossible to follow, at a breakneck speed with no sense of editing, timing, pace. The tone of the movie is so dour and sad.
There's no joy to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not disagreeing that they had bigger problems. I just had to start somewhere. And
right.
I think that if anything, we need to start with it is the origin story. That was a huge problem. I thought that set the wrong tone entirely. There were more characters that we could have started with that would have given us more information. Like you said, like the Robin thing, that would have been a great idea. Or to start somewhere else entirely. Not with
the
Batman.
only reason for it, and this is so stupid to say, but the only reason that we started with the origin story again was so that at the end of the movie, right before he's about to kill Superman, and he says, he has Martha. Where did you say that name? I'm always going to use the Nolan Batman. And so they could have that bonding moment, like, oh, we both had moms. Let's go beat up Lex Luthor. That is.
Well, they have the same name.
Yeah, they had the same name.
You're just like me,
That's
buddy.
why the movie had to start. Well, it didn't, but that's why Zack Snyder thought it had to start with the death of his parents. And that's the only reason. I thought the movie should have started with a little backstory of Lex Luthor Sr. possibly passing away and saying something to Lex Jr. that would have maybe actually gave him some level of motivation in this movie instead of none.
Well, that would have been nice, too.
Or what if you had Lex Sr. get killed in the Metropolis attack?
Right?
Right? There's your reason.
That, too. Like, I didn't even understand that was the wrong Lex Luthor at first because of when we were watching it. I realized the timeline would be totally wrong.
Now, I will say this. I actually did like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
You didn't? Oh my God, Brian, he was terrible.
He was crazy.
He wanted me to I wanted to vomit watching his.
Brian, you're one of my best friends, but this is a deal breaker.
The audience we were with,
hear me
laughing.
out. Hear me out right now. Hear me out right now.
Oh my God.
Okay, here's why. Oh my God. Okay, now the criticism that he's basically a poor man's Joker, I do agree with that. He was basically trying to be Heath Ledger. Okay, now the one thing I did like was that one. Keep in mind, I fucking hate Jesse Eisenberg. I really do. Okay,
he seems like a knob.
He seems like some guy that you just want to bitch slap. Okay, and could easily do it. But I liked the fact that it was not the same Gene Hackman type of Lex Luthor. That was the one thing that I didn't like about Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor was Kevin Spacey was playing Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor.
Well, in fairness, Singer was trying to do it as like a sequel.
I know that and I understand that, but it was refreshing to see someone taking a different spin in it.
But if he had dressed like a mime and not spoken any lines and farted marbles at his ass, that would be a different take too.
And that is something I would pay to see.
Yeah, well, when we were watching the movie, there were times where he would go to say his lines and our audience would laugh.
Everybody in the office
Right.
laughed because it was so over the top.
Right. No, yeah, the speech he gives where he literally, I mean, I think they literally he didn't know what the fuck his lines were. And so he just started spouting nonsense. That part I do think was ridiculous. But I mean, I think the problem is that, you know, the lack of a clear story makes it hard to really appreciate the characters.
Well, I think
it seems... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that Zack Snyder, too, just, like, let everybody run wild.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why Jesse Eisenberg's performance was what it was.
He only cares about visuals.
Nobody cared about the
visuals.
performances.
I think
it was
what
bad.
they had an outline of a movie. Then they wanted to pay homage to The Dark Knight Returns, to the Doomsday Saga. So then they had that. And then they had setting up the Justice League and setting up a sequel.
Well, it was trying to be Age of Ultron.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what it was trying to do.
So it's 100 movies in one, and then what gets lost in that is nothing makes any sense.
And, like, I get it. These movies are they're really expensive, and they have to make a lot of money to do really well. But I feel like this is a growing pattern with the hero franchise where you have a movie like Age of Ultron, which was terrible. Or you have, like, even the third Spider-Man, like, way back in the day. And I'm talking Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, so we're, like, 2 franchises.
Well, that was in the middle of, you know, Dark Knight. Starting
and like
too,
you said, the burrito complex, like, it is just too much shit shoved in there, so it falls apart at the seams.
Yeah,
it's too much, and I think paring things down and having a more simple, elegant storyline in the face of all that action, these movies would be so much better. But they just have to get so much trailer fodder.
Here's the thing too. I understand what they're trying to do by this universe building, and I actually support it. I really do. I support them making the whole, you know, connected universe. But you do not have to jam-pack everything in there. A wink and a nudge, you know, like, oh, we're going to Metropolis. That's all that I would need, okay, for a Batman movie, is that. Or, you know, some doctor saying, oh, yeah, I just got back from Themyscira. Okay, there we go. That's it. There's my Wonder Woman reference. I do not need to see Wonder Woman pop up. I do not need to see a computer. Good. She did. I will agree.
Can we talk about Wonder Woman?
Oh yeah,
she
was smoking hot.
She made me feel very confused in my bathing suit area. Like, she was beautiful. Her costumes were amazing. Not even just like the Wonder Woman outfit, but like the gowns that she was in. She was flawless. I'd never seen her in anything before. I think she's in a lot of the
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. She's in a lot of those. I'd never seen her before. Hello.
And honestly, she was a Wonder Woman that wasn't, in my opinion, you know, the typical like Linda Carter type Wonder Woman.
That was very of its era, you know.
Yeah, it was just cool because it did seem.
But
like
she actually did shit.
She had an edge, you know what I mean?
She was really, a warrior. She was beating the shit out of Doomsday. She was almost as strong as
Superman in this universe. She was amazing.
Well, that's what she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be as strong as Superman.
I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, too, I mean, she was smarter than Bruce Wayne, too, because she did a lot of cool shit, like, under his nose. Like, that was awesome. Yeah. I liked that a lot. And, two, I really liked where we didn't push a romance with anybody in the Wonder Woman thing. Like, not yet, anyway.
I hope, and this is just the Batman fanboy in me, okay? I hope that they push a relationship between her and Bruce Wayne. The reason being, and I know that people will freak out and go, well, she's supposed to be with Superman because, you know, his dick is the only thing that can fit in her vagina, you know?
Is that, like, literally the argument?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little bit of my Kryptonian magic.
Yeah, so, but my thing is, I'm a fan of the Justice League series, and in the Justice League series, there is a relationship that is hinted between, you know, Batman and Wonder Woman, and I'd like to see that.
So she gets Bat Dick instead.
Yes. Absolutely.
Batcock!
Anyway.
But yeah, so that it was nice to not have a clear like romance thing going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was glad about that, just because I think it would have been even more shit in the movie. But as it was, like, and I know not everybody likes Amy Adams. I like Amy Adams, but like, I'm so over her being in these movies.
She didn't have any purpose in the movie.
Anybody could
other than she was in the first one.
Yeah,
no,
right,
but quite literally, she didn't have any purpose
in the movie. What a waste of an Academy Award nominated actress.
Well, remember, Brian, she was the one that said, it's his mother's name. His mother.
In fact, I think she probably caused more shit to happen than anything. I mean, the whole, terrorist cell thing, that was her. The whole Superman having to sacrifice himself, that was because she threw the fucking spear in the goddamn water. Why did she throw it in the water?
That was dumb.
There was no
pissed me
reason
off.
for
She read
that.
the script.
That pissed me off.
But
And
literally,
then he had to, like, come
there
and
was no
save
need
her
for
and
that.
shit. Ugh.
Yeah.
That
There was
annoying.
no need for her to go ahead and throw that fucking spear in the water. She just could let it alone. That's it. That's all there was
I
to
mean,
it.
yeah, if she wanted to, she could have gotten it a little further away from him.
He was already gone.
Yeah.
Like, that made no sense.
She wasn't needed in the movie. Neither was Wonder Woman. I mean, I'm glad she was there because she was enjoyable to look at.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Did you just do a Beavis and Butthead boner?
but no, neither were needed, and actually could have helped the film if they weren't in there. It's like they could have had Superman just have Perry White come up to him and, "Where's Lois? She's still on vacation, sir."
Whole thing happened while she was, on vacation.
Yeah, in Niagara Falls, getting the big scoop. Oh wait, that's Superman too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a waste of her for sure.
Yeah.
I just, like John said, the whole thing was just so convoluted. And I mean, I thought it said some interesting things about, maybe Superman is too powerful and, there's a lot of fallout for situations that we don't address.
I did think that was interesting, but isn't the big problem that should they not be opposites? Shouldn't Batman be dark and brooding and go beyond like what's acceptable, and Superman should be a little more like all-American boy and getting kisses from Ronald Reagan's ghost, like not them to be the exact same person? What kind of conflict is that?
Here's the thing. One, I think that it basically, like in traditional sense, yes, absolutely. Superman is supposed to be truth, justice, and the American way. Okay. But I think the issue is that movies are a reflection of our current time. And we're in a current time right now.
Film is not a reflection of reality, but a reality of reflection.
Those are grad degree words right there. But I just look at it as Superman's a reflection of a distrust of the government, of a distrust of authority. Those are typically Batman's traits. And so it's kind of, when you're watching it, you're going, well, why doesn't Superman trust the government? He's supposed to be like their go-to guy. And then you're like, well, Batman's on the same side. I mean, that is an issue, yes. I think what it comes down to is, Zack Snyder is trying to say, this guy's got all this power, can you trust him? And that's kind of the whole crux of the argument. And, I mean, for me, I love that Senate scene. I thought that actually was a highlight to have this whole, like, where the Senate explodes.
Why did he blow up the Senate?
He didn't blow up the Senate.
The dude in the wheelchair did, right?
Well, he was working for Lex
And
Luthor.
he blew it up with his wheelchair packed with, like,
He did it
C16
because he wanted, it was to kill that senator who wasn't going to help
he blew up
Luthor.
the entire Senate to kill one senator?
Guy's
And
crazy.
to make it seem like Superman did
Guy's
it,
fucking
right?
yes.
He was crazy.
But the thing is, they just dropped it like, well, Superman involved? Well, probably not. And then there was no further follow-up on that. So.
Again,
Again, it was a mess of the
the
filmmaking.
problem is there are a lot of, in separate context, okay, if you take it outside of this movie, there's some good things in there. Okay, so that's why I said it's like a Chipotle burrito. Okay, you've got some good things in a Chipotle burrito, but then the guac, the barbacoa, but sometimes it gets all mushed together and you can't really tell what is what, and that's kind of my problem with this movie is that there's some good bits in there. There really are. I think there are. But the problem is, it's in a Zack Snyder fucking burrito, and you can't fucking tell what the hell's going on. And honestly, on top of that, it's all fucking desaturated and dark.
Everything...
I'm sorry, I can't
hollow.
stand that shit. I'm sick and fucking tired of every goddamn Zack Snyder movie basically having me to squint to see the movie. It's called a fucking movie because there's visual images. And if I can't tell the difference, if gray skies are supposed to be sunny,
That's all he does. Like
It's his shtick.
he
all
literally
cares about.
Yeah,
is
but
his
he
visuals.
literally runs it through a brown filter.
Well, and the thing is,
So does Chipotle.
Yeah.
Even
there you go.
Ayo.
There you go.
get out of here. But no, I mean, even past that it was difficult to see, but everything looked like it was run through a computer. And that's what happens when you do all of your cinematography via digital technology. Let's put in like sky correction. Let's put in fake rain. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's make, change the overall look of the image to the point of absurdity that I don't feel like I'm looking at anything real. I just feel like I'm looking at just this empty shell of what's supposed to be pretty, but it's just hollow and empty.
But I mean, I had to squint through the whole fucking film.
No.
I had to squint through it.
No, spoiler alert, John and I are married, so we saw it together. We saw it in 3D. Did you see it regular or did you see it 3D?
I'm not going to pay for 3D for that
Well,
movie.
we didn't want to either, but the regular version was sold out, so I had to get the 3D tickets. There's no point to the 3D whatsoever.
Oh, no. I mean, most
I don't know.
movies...
I didn't hate
most
it.
movies don't
Honestly,
need the
I
3D.
didn't hate it. I didn't think the movie needed it, but it did interact in a nice way. I thought more so than other films that I've seen where it was just absolutely pointless. Like, I thought it was pointless for Avatar, and that was like one of the things that 3D was invented for.
I liked Avatar in 3D. I could see the difference.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's the whole point of Avatar.
Yeah.
I thought it was stupid. I don't know.
But it was designed to show off the 3D.
But
It wasn't to show that film.
Fun fact about 3D glasses nowadays in the theater, I forgot, and I wore my regular eyeglasses.
Oh,
and
you can't.
You totally can put them over top.
Well, you
have to
can't.
do it.
It's just weird because I do that too. Because
And you
honestly,
totally
if I
can
don't
do
have
it.
my glasses, I'm fucking blind.
Oh, me too.
But yeah, it's weird. They made it so that you can fit it over.
But if you do it like at an angle, because what I did is I had them like down further on the bridge of my nose, and I had my glasses like pushed the whole
Yep.
way up. Totally works, kids. In case you wondered.
Oh, and if I get the butter in the popcorn, I get gas, and if I sit for too long, my hip hurts.
It's your fault that we watched it in 3D because he didn't tell me. That's why I have my glasses on. He didn't tell me they were 3D tickets. So thank goodness it worked, or we would have like just lit $13 on fire.
Okay, so I want to throw this out. Brian, I'll throw this out to you.
okay.
What is the plot of the movie?
This should be good.
Well, again, the whole plot is that Batman doesn't trust Superman, and Lex Luthor doesn't trust Superman, and so Lex Luthor's trying to get kryptonite into the country and he's going to do it by somehow using a boat called the White Portuguese to smuggle the kryptonite in, because the senator, played by Holly Hunter, doesn't trust him. Okay. And he's going to smuggle it in, and then at the same time he's going to go, because he's crazy, he's going to kill the senator by blowing up the Senate, just because he wants to do that, and also frame Superman, but not really frame Superman because you can easily tell. And then he's going to go ahead and use that kryptonite and have Batman steal it, knowing that Batman's going to steal it, so that Batman can develop weapons and try to kill Superman for him, while he, at the same time, is building Doomsday from General Zod's corpse, using his blood, which I'm not quite sure how the pool works with that, but it does. And, that's pretty much it. That's
Brian,
as far
you
as
did
I
a really
can.
good job. You forgot the part where Batman's a diaper baby the whole time, but other than that, you crushed it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Elaine, you're not off the hook. Explain each character's motivation.
Well, Lex Luthor wanted to do everything that he wanted to do because of reasons.
That's
Batman wanted to do everything he wanted to do because of being a diaper baby.
Well, in fairness,
Superman
he's the only one that really did have a motivation.
Superman wanted to do Lois
He
Lane.
broke his building.
And
Did anyone find that, like I was watching it and I was waiting for an Amy Adams boob the whole time?
I would have been.
bathtub?
Yeah.
I would have much enjoyed a little bit more.
Right there.
They got pretty damn near close. I was like, this is
I wouldn't have-
PG-13. What are we
and I
doing
wouldn't
here?
have minded like a sex scene or something. Like Henry Cavill is okay to look at. Like that one scene.
Can he bang her though with his like super?
He'd
dick?
have to hold back. We've had this conversation more than once in our marriage.
Kryptonite condom.
Oh, stop it with your face. I like that idea. But anyway, we need to just talk for a
Batman
second.
sent some fart bullets in his face, and he looked like he was about ready to like slip into a coma. Whatever.
His kryptonite fart
He'd
bullet.
probably be impotent if he put on a kryptonite condom.
But anyway, the one scene where he's in those really thin sweatpants, he's watching TV, and it's like so obviously for like the girlfriends and like wives and shit. Now I like that stuff anyway, so I didn't
Some
need to
super
be.
bends.
But yeah, right? Like it was like ladies, and it was like I was like, I know what you're doing, studio, They're like, thanks.
It's like, hey, you like guys in sweatpants and t-shirts,
They're
right?
like the thin kind, though, so you can see his super ass. It was really good.
So ass.
I really enjoyed it.
Strange visitor from another planet with powers and smells beyond mortal man.
Oh my god!
Now I gotta ask the obvious one here, and this goes to both of you. Doomsday, what'd you think?
No, you first, Willis-Croft.
Oh god!
I think that's jumping the fucking shark right out of the gate.
Well, I'm a big fan of comic books. I don't necessarily say graphic novels because they're comic books, okay, guys? I know we're adults, but let's just admit when we read our graphic novels that they're comic books. One of my favorite growing up was the whole Doomsday saga, and the death of Superman, and they just put that character in at the last 15 minutes of the movie as a last-minute plot device that almost didn't even need to be in there. And just what a waste for Zack Snyder, who's, I'm going to do all this fan service to the comic books and the history of these characters, but I'm going to just take a big shit all over Doomsday.
And it quite literally did look like shit because of the fucking brown filter throughout the whole damn movie.
And speaking about like Superman's dick and condoms, where was Doomsday's penis? I know it's PG-13, but he should just be swinging some monster pipes.
I mean,
or have Zod's dick.
I mean, it would have been the size of a city bus, right?
It depends. I mean, after a couple nuclear bombs thrown at him, it might have been the size of a city bus.
You know what they couldn't have? They couldn't have Wonder Woman leaping at him like she did, and then his like dick just whaps into her. I mean, it's the 90s, guys. We can't have that.
She gets stuck in between his balls.
My guess is that had Wonder Woman cut at his genital area, a penis would have grown back. Because you know how, like, every single time something happened to him, like if he got his hand cut off, it grew a sword. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, God. What would have grown?
Yeah. So I imagine if
dick.
if that happened, the chainsaw dick would appear.
Zack Snyder, we need a chainsaw dick. It's going to be awesome. And we need to cut it so fast that you can't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Put a
But
filter
yeah,
on it.
So yeah, they didn't do any service to Doomsday, and I don't know much about the background with the novels.
Well,
but.
Doomsday kills Superman, and this movie, Superman kills himself.
Yes, he does.
Essentially.
He does kill himself.
And like, what do you guys?
And
think
he's not
about
really-
that?
he's
like,
not
I was
dead.
gonna say he's so not dead. Like,
No.
Well, no, it's fan service again to the comics, and if anybody knows, like, Superman doesn't stay dead.
No.
alert. Dude, I wanted to be such a dick though because we saw it at like 7:30.
I'm surprised you guys just didn't go ahead and say "fuck this movie" in the middle of the theater.
We were okay, but we were at the movies a couple of days later. We actually ended up seeing 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Lane.
Well, we'd seen that,
video.
but there was a huge line, which I assume was for Batman v Superman. It was weekend night. I just wanted to be such an asshole and be like, Superman dies at the end. Have a nice night, everybody. It's like they're in line for the movie. Oh, that'd have been an ugly mob. Whew, would have been ugly.
They did that for somebody had gotten spoilers of the Half-Blood Prince, like the book.
Harry Potter for the end of
and
the
there's
video.
this video. You can find it online. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people waiting in line at like a Borders or Barnes and Noble, and they just drive by and they go, "Snape kills Dumbledore," and drive on. Like, oh man,
Dick move.
like some kids' probably whole lives were just shattered at that moment. But no,
That's when they lost faith in humanity, right there.
It has to happen sometime.
yeah, but no, that was just shoehorned in at the end.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary. It was so
completely
fucking unnecessary.
And I love that he knows how to make a Doomsday. I can barely make an omelet, and he knows how to make a Doomsday.
Well, all you need is a dead Kryptonian and some little bit of blood, and you've got a Doomsday right there.
Sounds an
wait,
awful
wait,
lot
wait.
like growing your own crystals out of borax.
Wait, guys,
It is very true. Yeah, it's very true.
Exactly.
This is my favorite part in the whole movie. Oh, you flew too close to the sun.
I can't believe you think Jesse Eisenberg didn't suck balls, Brian. He was
I thought
so,
it was a different take on
flew
it.
too close to the sun. Our entire theater erupted in like raucous laughter, especially like the drunk dude. By the way, shout out to the drunk dude behind us who dropped his phone like 7 times and was the most annoying piece of shit on the planet. He was in my face, like
Thankfully,
looking
he
for
was
his phone.
drunk. It probably made the movie better.
I mean, I wish I had been drunk. That would have been nice.
I think that would have been the only way you would have been able to get through.
But yeah, shout out to the knob goblin who was watching the film behind us.
That's movie theater etiquette right there.
Right. Thank you.
I
Thank
can't
you.
believe we haven't mentioned this yet, but it's actually something that I loved, but everyone on the internet is going crazy over. Batman's a stone cold murderer and a drunk.
Oh yeah, he's kind of a drunk.
Kind of the two things that were...
He's kind of a Tony Stark.
Wouldn't you be a drunk? You'd be a drunk.
Well, I think that, if you follow, once again, The Dark Knight Returns, there's he's having drinks with Commissioner Gordon, who's near retirement, and he says, all those years we thought you were knocking back whiskeys and champagnes, and they were just ginger ales, and he's like, you certainly made up for it now. So the idea, he's kind of retired now, he's drinking it off, the death of his parents that he's not over 40 years later.
I mean,
but
here's the thing. Every fucking Batman movie that's out there, Batman kills someone.
Well,
yeah, well,
He does.
is there any confirmed kills in the Nolan ones?
Rachel.
Rachel.
Nolan was probably one of the only ones that doesn't have any killing, but
right.
I would have to say you look at all the Tim Burton ones.
Murder.
And he's murdering people left and right.
We did talk about that. That was kind of a Gruber thing. Like, we're going to make him... We're entering the 90s. We're going to make him, hardcore and bad.
But, I mean, I'm just saying, he killed the Joker, in the original Batman 89 version. He blew up that guy with that bomb in Batman Returns.
And plus the Batmobile murdered a lot of people.
Oh, it burned
Yes.
somebody alive.
Yeah, burn somebody alive. I'm just saying. So, when people say, "Oh, well, he killed people," he killed people. We've never seen that before. Fuck you. We've seen that literally since the 80s. Okay,
We have.
Something that I always thought his code was very, ambiguous and odd. Like, in the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel,
he uses rubber bullets.
he goes into the tunnel o' love with the Joker, not in a romantic sense. He's just chasing him down, and he makes a decision to snap the Joker's neck and paralyze him from the neck down. How is that different than killing him?
You're making a major decision about his functionality.
Well, they actually did kill him. I mean, in the animated version of that he did get killed.
Which I have in Blu-ray. Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, he was killed in that. I mean, that might be the only difference from the comic. I liked that point because at least in the animated version, because it is a pivotal point for that character to, at the end of his, I mean, they said it was the end of his life, but it wasn't really, break that line on his most, known adversary. And it would be him that he would do it, because that's what the Joker's always wanted him to do, was to break his rule. So, I mean, I like that, and I mean, it would have been nice they include that in the comic book too, because I think it plays a little bit stronger than just, as you said, oh, you paralyzed him. Big fucking deal. How many villains have you paralyzed over your entire career? Probably a lot of them.
And that's one of the things about where they could have gone with this movie, but they didn't want to, because I think the studio had decided, okay, everyone loves Batman, so we have to portray him as a hero. But what could have been interesting is, Batman is a wild mercenary who is no different than, we all freaked out, in the real world over torture being used against our enemy combatants. Batman will go to any lengths to get the information he has. What if they finally presented it as, does Batman create more crime than he stops? Does Batman cause as much destruction as Superman over time? Is his use of torture acceptable? Is he a maniac? But instead, he's just portrayed as the hero who's trying to stop the real villain of Superman. And Superman's a villain too. And if you kind of think about both of them as kind of crazed superheroes, maybe Lex Luthor's the hero of the movie.
Yeah, but not Jesse Eisenberg.
No, it's a very good point. And honestly, a lot of other adaptations have done that. And I guess it's asking too much for Zack Snyder to
he's
do
a
the same.
puppet of the studio. He'll do what they want him to do as long as he can make pretty images that are hard to see.
And, nerd out over comic book lore.
Well, they made a shit ton of money on this thing already. So,
yeah.
Now, here's the one thing that pissed me off too. I mean, besides the stuff we've already talked about, is the scene where Wonder Woman is accessing Lex's drive, and you see that Lex Luthor somehow knows the logos for all of the Justice League.
Maybe he made it. Maybe he went to community college for graphic design.
Yes, he did, apparently.
Yeah, that was a bit much, wasn't it?
Like the Aquaman video that played looks like the shittiest thing ever.
He looks like hungover. Hey, get
He's
out
just
of
like,
here. Get out of the house. Get out of here.
Which one was the one with Dyson from Terminator?
Oh,
that was
the Flash.
Cyborg.
Was it Cyborg?
That was
Cyborg. Yeah,
I'm remembering
yeah.
it wrong.
Yep,
My bad.
Yep. That was cool. I hit John really hard in the theater. I was like, "It's Dyson."
Miles Bennett dies.
I was pumped.
Well, you have that, and then you have the not Barry. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of the CW Flash.
Oh,
That's not.
Yeah.
That's not Barry Allen.
Yeah. Well, what I thought was funny is like the whole time I was in the theater watching this film, when Wonder Woman is looking for that thing from Lex Luthor herself. The image of
The picture
herself
of her
from what, like the 20s,
1918.
1918, and everything. I found myself looking at that photo and wishing that was what the movie was about. Like, obviously, it's going to be the Wonder Woman movie, but I found that being the woman that, or the movie that I wanted, and I was really unhappy in that moment because I was like, why isn't the movie about this? Everything's stupid. But that was my big takeaway from the film. I mean, I thought that Gal Gadot, I think is her name.
Yes.
But I thought she was great in every scene. I felt like the movie really benefited from her presence, and it kept it entertaining to me to have her in it. Like, that was a lot better.
I liked her theme.
Yeah,
the music that they had for her.
You mean the music we're never going to get from Hanz Zimmer again?
Pretty much.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah, I really liked her theme. I didn't like anything else about the music. I mean, as we talked about earlier,
it was rough.
It was
man. It wasn't his best
rough,
work.
but I mean, I'm like, why couldn't you just have done music like this?
Why couldn't you have just not sucked entirely?
Yeah, I was like, maybe if you had Danny Elfman doing the music again, we'd be fine.
So yeah,
that's Zack Snyder hedging his bets though, because he's like, okay, I'm gonna get the same guy that did the score for the Dark Knight Nolan trilogy, so
he
he'll
produced
automatically
it.
Associate it with it.
You know that, right?
Oh yeah, well yeah, and Man of Steel as well. So,
but then again, Tim Burton produced the Schumacher movies.
This is true. That it's all just so they can make money off of it. They don't care how it turns out. It's like, yeah, I'll fund a little bit of it if I get more on the back end. Cha-ching.
So yeah, any other final takeaways, fellas, on the film?
Unbearably disappointing, and
yeah. And two, I just thought
I
thought the early release was also disappointing. Like,
well,
since when did the blockbuster season
here's
start
the
in
reason
March?
why they did that. They did that because they did not want to compete with Civil War.
And I get that, but I mean,
which honestly, Civil War is going to be a far superior movie anyway.
But we're never going to have like a real blockbuster season if it starts in March. Like, we're just never going to have anything.
You got Star Wars that comes out now. It's going to be every December now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's actually nice to have a little bit of spaced out, time with those movies that you don't, have 10 movies coming out in May.
I want my blockbusters in May, damn it.
Well, I mean, you like that time period, which is basically like from January till May. Those are you get your art house movies or your Oscar movies come out then too. You also get your weird movies that become popular, like John Wick. John Wick came out in February.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I love that movie. In my opinion, it's a great movie. But, that's the kind of the time when the little movies that maybe can't compete with the blockbusters get a little bit of showtime.
Right. Well, I thought this one was super disappointing. There's other ones I'm looking forward to, but I mean, what do they say? Happiness is reality versus expectations. So like, I expected nothing, got nothing, so I wasn't disappointed.
Hollow, empty,
vacuous.
For me,
and from a complete hack fraud.
Yeah, for me, it's not as bad as Batman and Robin.
But Batman and Robin is more fun to watch.
Yeah, because it's like bad
to rip off of. Yeah.
You can like drink and stuff.
It's not as bad as Batman and Robin. They could have done a million times better with it.
They could have.
I originally predicted a 5 out of 10. I give that about a 3.
I give it about a 4. Yeah. Okay, about a 4.
I
think I originally said 6.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said. I was a dick, I think. But yeah, I'd give it like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
3.5 maybe.
You know, if Warner Brothers is out there listening, you've got property already that does well at showing superheroes. It's called the DC Animated Universe. Tap that for your next movie. Yeah. Just please. You've already done it. Just pull from that. Just do a complete live action reenactment of those movies because they're great. I've yet to find a single one of those that are bad.
Yeah.
I'd be all right with
That would be awesome.
So that's going to close us out here. Please be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at Psycho Show. If you have a favorite movie that you would like us to review or a question you want to post to us, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe and catch our next show available every Friday. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.